Streaming.
Okay, so it ended, yeah.
Well, welcome to the channel, and hope you enjoyed the little poem. That was a poem from the book that we just released. Do I even have a copy of it here? Oh yeah. So there's a number of, I don't know if you can see that from there with the reflection, but anyways, I showed it on the thing, and probably there's a number of other poems in there that relate, perhaps. I hate to commit to anything. But anyways, on this chat channel, we're totally open. Talk about anything that you would like, and I'm inviting everyone to who's watching just to key in, say hi, and so I know who was all out there. And so yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little poem. Uh, it was just recently. I feel that I really fully awoken, and so that's why it's entitled "Awoken in December." Because just this recent December, I think it takes a while. I think as a XJW to wake up. The waking up process doesn't happen overnight, so we have to undo a lot of things. There's a lot of layers, and it takes time, So if I'm not sure who's watching, and where you're at in this process, but there's a lot of challenges along the way, and I think by sharing and talking about some of these experiences, I think that's important. Um, as we grow our channel and our community, the XJW community, because really it's what I've seen it as over the last 6-7 months is a really good support line, and we started getting involved with some of the online stuff. Rick Farron, he puts out a channel, and usually he's Saturday night. If you're watching, you've never attended, but most of you guys are old hat. You've been doing this for a while, and we see some of the names show up, and we realize that this community is starting to grow as the wake up process starts to grow, and I think as we see the reports, hundreds of thousands of people leaving the organization, we're going to see these people looking for help, looking for something. And I know I was when I was ready. The only problem is a lot of people are tricked into believing that looking at these sites is harmful for them. And this is what the governing body is really promoting, to keep people blinded, of course. So, but the more we have XJWs coming online, starting up channels, and even getting involved, even if you're just on the chat, and that's what I'm inviting you guys to do, is to get involved in the chat if you haven't already gotten involved. But yeah, so I'd encourage everyone to just say a few words. But until next time, I think it's if we don't have a lot, we have one person on right now, and that's fine. But I think what we're going to do Tuesday, and I want to talk about Tuesday coming up here. We have a Tuesday chat coming up, and we're going to try to do this on a regular basis. So if someone, of course, Saturday afternoons are kind of a hit and miss. And we're experimenting with our channel a little bit, so we're trying a few things and seeing when people are available. And I think later in the evenings is probably better for most people. I think we were trying our Tuesday chat at 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and that's kind of early if you're in California, because that would mean you're at 6 o'clock in California. So I don't know. We'll try a few things. But I think we're going to move that channel maybe to even 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So then it's 7 o'clock in California, and then we go 3 hours north, and it's like 11 o'clock in New York. And then we're going to capture a better audience, I think, for our Tuesday night chat. And I think that's what we're going to do.
You've got a few people on there.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can keep chatting. If anybody if you're watching, come right online and chat, and I'll keep the line open. Ask any kind of question you have.
Talk about your stories.
You can even talk about the story, the book. You know, if you had a chance, or if you haven't had a chance yet on this new book we released here. It's there's a link to it on Amazon right on this channel, so you'll see the link if you go back to the thumbnail. And there's a number of other things. I'll be highlighting some of these links coming up. If you go into our website, Gone with the Grid, you'll find there's some XJW things. There's some T-shirts. I'm kind of proud of some of them. And I'm going to be highlighting some of these on the channel once our order comes in. We got a few T-shirts in, and all the vendors are European, Canadian, and American, U.S. vendors. And I think a lot of the stores are kind of going that route because some of the problems we had during the virus. But so at any rate, a lot of our listeners are from the Americas, Canada, and in around this area too. So it seems to work for shipping. It's greener. We're trying to do what's green. And even with the book, you can get this now on an ebook. So if you go online, that's a nice green method of doing it, is on ebook. It's a bit cheaper. But if you want a hardbound copy, you can get one. And every year I'll be giving out a signed copy. So if you stick on this channel, and we'll do a little rally at the end of the year, we'll send out a signed copy of the book to our subscribers. And our subscriber will do. My wife is very unique. Sometimes I throw these ideas online and I get chastised later because now she's got to figure out how to carry this all forth. But this is just a supposition, just an idea that goes in my mind. So it might not happen, might happen. But I think it'd be a nice thing if we could send out a signed copy. But to keep things green, you can order it on ebook. And as well, my wife got me this studio thing and some other studios on here. So she's teaching the old dog some new tricks. And now I'm learning how to regulate my audio voice. So for instance, if I have a secret, I just go closer to the mic, and then it doesn't blow the hell out of your ears. And if I have something I want to say emphatically, I say it over here and not too loud because the mic's jumping. So I'm taking lessons right now, and I don't know if that worked here. But there's a lot of tricks to working with microphones. And, the whole world's run by a microphone. You might have seen one of the videos I did on that. But the Watchtower, they're running their world or their kingdom with the microphone. And that's how it's done. And now that we transmit this stuff over the air to cell phones, and we're living in a time of technology that's never happened on the earth. And they say that the earth perhaps has went through, some theorists and some scientists are saying that the earth has went through 7, or we're in the 7th. So God works in 7s. I know that. So I was watching a program the other day, and they were saying Y-files. And he ran through all the cycles of the earth. And apparently there was like 7 catastrophes, where the poles switch and continents move around and it's just a complete wipeout. Apparently there was like 6 of them. And we're in the 7th. So the biblical prophecy is actually quite accurate, because 7 is God's number. And in fact, when we read the Bible, it talks about everything happening at the end of this cycle. So who knows? I've been enjoying the program here. We've been highlighting some of the events over this past week, if you check our videos online. And we've been going doing a lot of investigating, and it's old news to perhaps some of you folks, but to us, XJWs coming out, just waking up. And when I say, like, I left the organization in 2012, so that's a lot of years ago. You know, that's over 10 years ago. And so I left all those years, but you know, you can leave and not wake up because a person has all those ideas floating around in their heads. And I'm wondering, out in the world, how many people there are like that, you know, that are just living life, that they left for some reason. Maybe they left back in the 70s even, or back in the 50s, and they're really old now. And they're just running through life with all those same ideas floating around in their head, kind of waiting for Armageddon to come, waiting for these signs that Rutherford and Russell put out and that the governing body propagate to this day. I'm wondering how many out there are just living in that old trance. And that's what I've came to realize that's why I say I didn't wake up until I think just this last December, because it took that long to unwind all the layers and layers of deceit and trust. And there's different layers. These are other videos we can talk about. And I think there's a lot of XJWs coming online, writing books upon coming out and what it's like. And I think there's even therapy books online, you know, people that are qualified to talk about this. But I think all we can do at this point is, because it's so unique, is share our experiences. And a person can go to an outside counselor, but then you have to teach them all about, well, what does this word, the truth, mean? What does it mean to get disfellowshipped? And they'll never really ever get it. They'll try to understand it, but they'll never really get it, because for you and I, who have been in this organization and we've come out of it, perhaps we've experienced, well, most of us, if we're at this level, we know we're experiencing the shunning right now. We know what it feels like. We know what it feels like to lose all of your friends, to lose all of your family, and to be out in that world all alone, thinking that you've done something wrong to God because you're getting punished now. Like, there's all these old thoughts that can circulate in our mind and cause us to have problems in life.
What helped you?
Pardon me?
What helped you?
Well, I think writing this book. When I started writing things down and writing this book, I started this a year ago, back last December. And when I started writing this book a year ago, I had to write down everything I believed. And then my wife, I have a really good wife. She's like a therapist many days. And she would ask me questions like, what is the 144,000? Why is there only 144,000 going to go to heaven? Heaven's a big place. Why is everyone else on earth going to be on earth? Like, earth is a smaller place. You know, just some common kindergarten logic here. And Russell and Rutherford, when they invented these end time dates, they were invented for the whole world to fall apart back in 1914. And maybe it could have worked. He could have had his little kingdom, his little empire, his little harem back then. But you see, that's not how God works. God said no one knows the hour or the day. And Russell says, well, we were just predicting the year. Sorry, God. But, you know, like, these guys are clowns, and that's what we're beginning to expose. And that's when I started uncovering this, writing the book, that these guys were just clowns, the founders. And they were just normal people. Russell was just a rich kid. He was just a rich, spoilt brat. If you want to be honest about this, and he had a big heart, but he was a rich, spoilt brat. He had women problems. His wife left him. He had engagements with this young girl that was living with him. He shipped, because he owned the whole religion. He's $7 million back then was a lot of money. And he was building this empire, and he had branches in Australia. He shipped her to Australia. She was young. He took in an orphan. Had some relations with her. Something happened. His wife went to court. And this all came up in court about his immorality. So I'm going to have another video on that. It's such a thing. And when we expose this and we tell ourselves that this religion is made out of people, just like Bill Clinton had his problems in an office, gets up and lies under oath. Well, this is Russell lying under oath. And what do we see happening today? The governing body is getting up. And these are the videos I've been releasing. It was new to me because when we're unwinding through this religion online, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of information. I had to start dealing with just simple things like, what's the truth? How do I prove the truth? I had to prove all the doctrines, disprove all the doctrines, put in my mind what I thought was the truth, or is the truth, to where I'm at today with it. I don't have a lot of, okay, I'm viewing religion as a point from getting point A to point B in time. It's like a horse and buggy. And I believe organized religion, it's the olden days. We're done with it. They've wasted a lot of our money. They don't do anything to charity. We know the watchtowers, none of these religions are transparent, the watchtower especially. And I just watched a video by one of the apostates, Wally, and he did a really good video exposing, if you don't know who Wally is, it's Panda? Yeah. JW Thoughts. And I watched his video last night, and this is a thing, for entertainment, we watch these videos. But Wally did a really good video exposing what the Watchtower claims they put into charity, and they say 12 million. So here's a worldwide organization taking in billions of dollars every year in donations, and they put a measly 12 million. And then the supposition came up that perhaps the 12 million spread throughout the earth is only, like, they're in 279 lands. So if you take 12 million, divide by 279 lands, that number is very small now. 12, it's not even a million. It's not even, like, $1 million nowadays goes nowhere. So what they're doing, who has the math here? I'm going to do the math right now. See if I can do it here. Yeah, I can. So we have, so if we take 12 million, no, I can't show it. So I got 12 million. 12 million divided by 279 lands equals, so guess how much money goes to each land? $43,000 goes to each land. It's a joke. So basically their humanitarian effort worldwide is bottled water. They're sending bottled water to people. That's it. Because you can't even fix one house with $43,000. There's 279 lands. This is a huge organization dealing with billions of dollars of real estate. And that's all they can do is $43,000. And that's what they're claiming. Like, who knows if that $43,000 didn't go to repair a bunch of Bethels, and it really didn't even give anybody a bottle of water. Like, these are all suppositions that I think Wally really brought up a really good job, and I'm going to explore some more of this. But I think we all have to start thinking about this organization, and whether we're in it or not. It's not what it says it is. And some of the new stuff that I was finding was this Australian, these sex offenses in Australia. And then I'm wondering, well, if they're paying out $23 million in one lawsuit, I think that was in Australia, I'm not sure. But Australia uncovered 1,000 hidden cases of sexual child abuse within their files. That was back in what, the 2015. So since 2015, some leaked footage came out where the Watchtower was instructing all their branches to get rid of records over and over again because it's costing them money. And lawsuits were coming in, and because there's records attached to illegal activities, they were having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars out. And we really don't know what they're referring to, but they're really being vague about this, saying get rid of records. And the examples they were using, they were staying away from the CSA on this video, but any common person, logical person would know that it has to deal with that. And they actually later on in some video footage I seen online on another person's footage, they were talking about the CSA stuff. Once you're done with it, get rid of all your records and ship everything to the legal department in the Bethels. That's what they were saying on that. So when you have an organization doing that, you know that there's a lot of maggots in the can. And a can look good on the outside, but as soon as you open the lid and it's full of maggots, there's a lot of lawsuits, so they put the lid back on and they deal with it one at a time, because the last thing they want is a class action. And by not admitting it and by not changing the two-witness rule, which has no basis in the Bible. The two-witness rule is for civil matters. It was not in the Bible, if you look at this. It was not designed for a sexual offense. If we go to Deuteronomy and look at sexual offenses, and I have a video on this, Deuteronomy 32, the sexual offenders for these kinds of abuses was a death penalty. They were to be put to death. And the innocent victim was to be left alone and preserved, because they treated it like a murder. And you don't need two witnesses. If there's a murder, there's a murder. There's evidence. And there's no two witness rules for sexual offenses in the Bible. But yet the governing body seems to want to make everything rely on the two witness rule. And by the way, I was a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years. And during the 30 years, any legal matters, you have to take it to the elders. I had disputes with brothers, and they beat me out in this business disputes. And there was two elders that were running this company, and we're both in the same field. We're doing fire and security systems, no big secret. But there are two elders running it, and there's just me, and I have a bunch of worldly people, Mormons and so forth. But I had a worldly guy that was working for me, and he wasn't even religious, my manager at the time. And I couldn't use his word didn't count, so I had to take it to the elders. And these guys had two witnesses, two elders that said one thing, and there was just me that said another, and I couldn't pull in any other witnesses. In fact, I was going to pull in the main contract. He was going to come in, and I couldn't pull him in because of the elders' rules. They become the policemen in the congregation. And if you think of this, the governing body has set it up so they're the policemen, they're the health care center. If there's family problems, they're the family problem counselors. They do all of these duties within the congregation regarding how to deal with people. And the people, the elders are mostly janitors and window cleaners because higher education is condemned in this religion. In fact, you can be shunned for higher education if you take higher education. Yes?
You could mention that the elders are so devoted, and look how the watchtower protects them.
Well, yeah, that's another story. So we did a video this past week on warning to all JW elders. And one of the things that we found in that video, or we found in that article, it was a legal case that was done in the US, and we cite the material. But these two older men, these two older brothers, these elders, 77 and 88 or something, they were older. 72 and 88, these older elders. Now, they were probably 10 years, 13 years younger at the time that the incident took place. But what happened was, outside the congregation, there was a sexual offense. And so the mom and her daughter, the daughter reported it to her mom. The daughter's only 6. And the mom and the daughter went to the elders. And the elders said, well, nothing, nothing to do. They didn't report it. See, the crime is not reporting it. That's the crime. So even if it's outside of the congregation, the elders felt it was nothing to do with them. But just to be sure, these elders went to the Bethel, went to the Watchtower headquarters, like they're supposed to, with legal issues. And they took it to them, and they got back to them in 2006 and said, yeah, don't do anything. So the brothers didn't do anything. And so life goes on. 13 years later, 2018, this young girl, she's now growing older, and this is still going on. This guy, this outside guy, even went to the point of threatening to kill the mom and her brother and to kill her family if she took this forth. That's how much control this outside person was put. And the elders said no. The Bethel, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society's legal department, told these brothers, don't do anything with it. So they didn't. They listened to the governing body. And so so time went by, and this girl finally went to the police. You get older. These kids get older. They're not going to be 6 all their lives. So if you're an elder out there or Jehovah's Witness involved in any of this stuff, like if you know of it, these kids aren't going to be 6 all their life. They're going to grow up. They're going to leave, and they're going to come forth. And there's no statute of time limitation on these sexual offenses, by the way. So long story short, It all got washed out, legal things that came out. The two elders had to serve time. They had to go in and have their pictures taken, fingerprinted. 72 and 88 years old by this time. They had to pay legal fees. And then, it doesn't say the Watchtower had any part, but it did highlight that the one brother came forth and he exposed the Watchtower. And I think he woke up through the process, this one brother. And it didn't, it did state it. You can read the article, look at the video. But it's just fascinating that these brothers took all the heat, and the Watchtower took nothing for their culpability in telling these brothers not to do anything, to hide it. And then since the Australian Commission in 2015, and I threw some videos out on that, we have this getting rid of records, because Australia, just in that one country, uncovered 1,000 hidden sexual abuse cases. So Australia is kind of the size of Canada. Now, could you imagine in the U.S., 300 million people in the U.S., every state in the U.S. is like a country. So it's all starting to come out. So as this stuff comes out, we'll be grabbing headlines and dealing with them. But if you guys are watching this, and if you're not watching it today, but you're watching it later, because this will be on my channel, send in some replies and let us know of anything that's going on that you think we should cover. And we'll do our best to pull the information, make sure it's credible, and then we'll do a take on it. Because the more takes, the more reports. And like I said, like a counselor, you can go to an outside counselor, or you can hear it from an outside news reporter, and they use words like church and things like that. We know they're kingdom halls. We know the lingo. We can read between the lines and then represent it a lot quicker and get to the punchline of the serious issues. So that's why if you have any information, send them to us. So far, the information I did last week was stuff that was sent to us. Thank you very much to you subscribers for helping out in this way. And it makes it easier for our support. And our support is really, they call it activism, they call it apostates, but really what our support is about on all these channels is about helping people, helping a lot of people. And there's a lot of people coming out of this organization that are lost.
A lot of JWs still in.
Yeah, and there's a lot of JWs we're finding in and lost, not sure. They feel like it's, they're living in a bubble. And it's a sad feeling. And there's some that are just leaving out. I just left. I got my daughter, kind of, and there's things happening. And so we're like a support channel. And it's not for profit. Like, we're not here to make money. We eventually, after you get enough time on YouTube listening, that's how you make money. Apparently, we haven't seen anything yet. But I pioneered a bit, and I pioneered for the wrong cause. So I think this is kind of giving back. Jesus says what you put out comes back. So the organization put this stuff out, and it's now all coming back. And it's kind of like what Jesus says, what you sow, you will reap. And now is the time of reaping. The internet's out, all of this stuff, these child abuse cases are all coming out. And whatever was hidden is now being revealed. And isn't that what Jesus says would happen? So we're living in that time. I think it's an exciting time. It's there's a lot of disheartening news with people coming out, but let's look at the exciting part. We're in this time of history where it's just not us. It's just not Jehovah's Witnesses. It's all over. A lot of Catholics are leaving, and we had one guy on our channel last week on our Talk Tuesday. He's an ex-Catholic doing the same thing we're doing. In fact, because there's so many Jehovah's Witnesses going out in the door-to-door work saying, we have the truth, we're the only truth, we have the truth. This guy's going out and defending Jesus' truth as an ex-Catholic against the Jehovah's Witnesses. And he showed me a thing or two. I didn't realize that the latest Jehovah's Witness Bible is missing on the very end about a good 8 to 10 verses in Mark. They just pulled it out. And then if you go to John chapter 8, they pulled out the first half of that chapter in John, I think it was. But we have that in that chat Tuesday. We looked over some of them. But I didn't realize they're just going in and yanking out pieces of the Bible. Even I had an older Bible, Jehovah's Witness Bible. It was in there, but we went to the latest one. They're just yanked right out. And so we talked about that. They don't have any scholars. No one will put their name on the wall saying, yeah, we're real, authentic Bible scholars. They don't have that. It's just a bunch of men like in the U.S. that run the governing body. Some are from different, a whole lot about them, but they keep it pretty private. And they say, yeah, we give it all to Jehovah. That's why. But, you know, if you had an artist, you'd be proud to put their name on your door. They sure use other people in their medical talks, and they label people and they put people on high in their word. They even use people, the historians back in the day, and they put them on high. But yeah, they use whatever information they have to benefit them. And that's what we're seeing. So, but anyways, we're going to close up the channel here, and I enjoyed getting this little book out to you guys, this little poem. If you guys have a chance, take a look at the book. It's going to come out in an audio version, I was saying, and eventually I'll get that out in audio, and it'll be available for those that just want to listen to it. So it's
For Talk Tuesday, shunning.
yes, Talk Tuesday at we should go live. I don't know, you know, how, we're told to go live 7. We're going. Yeah, so we're gonna go live 7 p.m. Standard Time on Tuesday, and we're gonna talk about shunning.
Mountain.
Yeah, Mountain Standard Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Tuesday. We'll be live on this channel again. So as we go live, we get more and more people that are wanting to get involved, and that's great. So keep up the good work. Thanks again for being a part of this, and we are going to stop streaming now. So until next time, friends, keep living your life with love.